What if Dudley had a magical child? What would happen if he had a daughter with the very thing that his parents had raised him to be against? What would Dudley do to support his daughter and learn the ins and outs of the wizarding world? Follow along as we explore this magical Harry Potter what if. In hindsight, Dudley Dursley felt as if he should have seen this coming. He could recall several instances where things would happen out of nowhere. There was the time that his coffee mug had broken while his daughter was young. She had started throwing a tantrum when the ceramic mug shattered. And there was a couple years ago when Daisy had been playing in the backyard with her younger sister when the sprinkler system turned on by itself, off schedule. Though he had blamed it on an electrical problem at the time. Now that he was holding this letter, it made too much sense. Dear Ms. Dudley, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted into Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins 1st September. We await your owl no later than 31st July. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Headmistress. He hadn't any idea where to begin. He knew that there was a special place to get her books and school equipment. He knew there was a special uniform that should need. But he hadn't a clue where to go. Dudley didn't even know how to get his daughter to Hogwarts. He remembered that his parents would drop his cousin at the train station and leave. He looked out the kitchen window, his two daughters on the playset in the backyard. For half of a moment, he considered ignoring the letter, but he knew that her powers would grow stronger, and she would need to know how to control them. Dudley knew where he had to go. He would take the two girls over there this weekend and see if he could be of any help. It had been some time since he had talked to his cousin, even longer since he had seen him. Harry Potter had sent Dudley and his parents a letter when the war was over, letting them know that it was safe for them to return home if they had wanted to. A few years later, he had sent Dudley another letter, letting him know that he was getting married, and again when his first son was born. Each letter was an attempt to keep Dudley updated on his life, though Dudley never felt as if he had the right to reach out to his cousin. He had treated Harry so poorly growing up, and he felt guilty for it. As he got older, he understood that his parents were just scared. They didn't understand what Harry was, and his mother had lost her sister to this witchcraft. But the damage had already been done. Dudley had assumed that Harry would be better off without him. Saturday morning, Dudley announced to his daughters that they were going to take a road trip and wanted to know if they would want to meet more family. Daisy and Poppy, 11 and 8 respectively, were confused, but the thought of having cousins excited them. Dudley hoped that the address of the last letter was correct and that he would be able to find his cousin. The house was distant from neighbors, but still close to a small town. There was plenty of yard space around the house and a privacy fence that spanned the property. He hesitated a moment before knocking, but forced himself to anyway. "Teddy, can you get that?" A voice yelled from within. It was a moment later that a boy pulled open the door. His appearance caught Dudley off guard. He was tall and a bit lanky and looked nothing like Harry. The boy was in his late teens. His hair had an undercut and the top was a teal blue. He was chewing a piece of gum, blowing a bubble and allowing it to pop before speaking. "Who are you?" Teddy questioned. "Hi, I'm looking for Harry Potter. Does he still live here? I'm his cousin." Dudley stuttered out. "One sec." The boy stepped away from the door, leaving it open. "Harry, it's for you." Dudley waited at the door. The open door felt like an invitation in, but he didn't want to just let himself into the house. "Dudley?" A man approached the door. It was undoubtedly his cousin, though much older than when he had last seen him. "Harry," Dudley nodded, trying to find the words. "You look good. It's good to see you again." "I didn't think I'd ever hear from you." Harry held out his hand, giving Dudley a rough shake. "Come in. My wife is just making lunch." He took a step back, allowing the family inside. "These are my girls, Daisy and Poppy. I wanted them to come meet you and your family," Dudley explained. "That's great." Harry led them into the kitchen. "It's been years. Why the sudden change?" His voice never dipped from the excited tone he held, though the silence that came from his cousin started to clue him in. "Ginny, do we have enough for a few more?" Harry entered the kitchen first, gaining his wife's attention. "Of course, did one of my brothers stop by?" A woman was at the stove, speaking before she turned to see who was here. "My cousin and his daughters," Harry explained. A warm and welcoming smile came over Ginny's face. "It's lovely to have you here. I'm just about done. Why don't you take a seat? Harry, can you grab the kids?" "Of course," Harry nodded. "Dudley, do they know?" he questioned. "Not yet. That's sort of why we're here." Dudley rubbed the back of his head. "Get comfortable. I'll be right back." Harry stepped out of the kitchen. It was a couple minutes later that Harry came back into the room, 4 kids in tow. "Dudley, these are the kids, Teddy, James, Albus, and Lily, and my wife, Ginny." Harry went down the line, from oldest to youngest. The other 3 kids looked like Harry, unlike Teddy, who had opened the door. "Kids, this is my cousin. We grew up together." "And my 2 daughters," Dudley nodded, motioning to his girls. "Daisy and Poppy." Lunch was full of light talking, the families getting to know each other more, and Harry and Dudley catching up on how their lives had been going. Harry had been careful not to mention anything about magic, as did the children. Dudley had learned that Ginny had originally been a star Quidditch player and has since become a sports journalist at the Wizarding newspaper. Harry was running a police-type department at the Ministry. Teddy had already graduated while James had just started at school the year before, and Albus would be starting the following year. Harry had learned that Dudley's wife had died 2 years prior to the visit, and that his Aunt Petunia was getting sick far more frequently. Dudley was a corporate manager at a large accountant agency, ensuring that he would be home in the evenings and weekends to spend time with the girls. "Harry, if you don't mind me asking," Dudley questioned after the kids moved into the living room to play, "I noticed that Teddy didn't call you Dad." "Teddy is my godson," Harry nodded. "His parents both died in the war, so we've been helping his grandmother take care of him. He spends a lot of time here." "You and Ginny have a lovely home. It's really good to see you." Dudley nodded, clearly avoiding a conversation. "Is it Daisy?" Harry forced the conversation. "She's 11 now, right?" "A week ago." Dudley nodded again, reaching into his pocket. This was on the front porch that morning. "What's got you so worried? She's going to be okay." "I'm not worried. I'm excited for her. Other than a dark wizard trying to kill you, I know how much you enjoyed being at Hogwarts." Dudley explained. "It will take some getting used to, given how my parents acted around you. But I want her to go and learn this power she has. I'm here because I need your help." "That's great, Dudley. I'm proud of you. What can we help with?" "I don't know how to tell her." Dudley rattled off, sounding a bit defeated. "I don't know where to get her school supplies. I don't know how to get her to school. I don't even know how to respond to the letter." "We'd be happy to help," Ginny smiled. "We're actually planning on getting James's school supplies late next week. You guys can come with us. We can also help you tell her. I'm sure that Teddy would love to put on a little magic show for the girls." Harry laughed. "You should know before he does it, Teddy is something called a metamorph magus. He has the ability to change his appearance at will. He was born with this power. His mother had it as well." "Is that why his hair is blue?" "Yeah, he's had that color a while, but he could change it in a second if he wanted to." Harry nodded. "Just don't be surprised if he decides to change." The 3 adults stepped into the living room, Dudley speaking first to gain the attention of the children. "Girls, I have to tell you something." Dudley sounded unsure of himself. "There's a reason we came out to meet Harry and his family." He pulled the letter from his pocket, handing it to Daisy. She read the letter out loud before looking up at her father. "Witchcraft and wizardry? What does that mean?" "Harry and his family have magic. They also went to this school where they learned how to use their magic," Dudley explained. "Daisy, that letter means you have magic. Hogwarts only sends the letters to those who have magic," Harry explained. "Magic isn't real," she laughed. "It's just pretend." "Can I show you?" Harry asked, pulling his wand from his pocket. "Orchideus." Appearing on the coffee table, now sat a bundle of flowers. The two girls stared in amazement. Poppy picked up the bouquet, smelling the flowers. "How did you do that?" "Mommy," Lily jumped up from the couch. "Do the horse one?" "You can make a horse too?" Dudley questioned. "It's not a real horse." Harry shook his head. Ginny pulled her wand from her back pocket. Expecto Patronum. It started as blue wisps floating through the air before taking form and turning into a horse, or at least the shape of horse. "No way!" Daisy jumped to her feet. "I'll be able to do this." "With a lot of practice and schooling." Harry nodded. "But Dad," Poppy questioned, "do you have magic? Will I have magic?" "No, sweetie, I don't have any magic. I don't know if you will have any either. We'll have to wait and see." "Daisy, do you want to go to school to learn magic?" Dudley asked. "You'll be away from home for a while, but you'll make a lot of friends." "Yes, I can go this year, right?" Daisy hugged her father as if she had just received the best gift. As Daisy attends Hogwarts, Dudley becomes far more open to the wizarding world. The Dursley family has a lot to learn and are lucky enough to have family that will help them along the way. What house is Daisy going to be sorted into? What sort of adventures will she get up to now that she is friends with the Weasleys and the Potters? And does her sister also have magic? The world of Harry Potter has many untold stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see what magical journey we go on next.